2025, No Turning Back, a live event with world-renowned astrologer, the Leo King. This isn't just astrology, it's a revelation of the most extraordinary cosmic transits of our time. These alignments, thousands of years in the making, will shape the world and your personal destiny in ways you can't imagine. The Leo King will break down how these astrological events will impact global shifts in your life, offering clarity and insight during this pivotal moment in history. Plus, looking back on the last 5 years, these special videos have made a name for themselves. Discover how these celestial events will influence global dynamics, societal shifts, and your individual path forward. Whether you're a seasoned astrology enthusiast or a curious beginner, this event will provide clarity, guidance, and inspiration during a pivotal moment in history. The experience doesn't stop there. Following his presentation, the Leo King will host a live Q&A session, giving you the unique opportunity to ask your most pressing questions and gain real-time insights tailored to your concerns. This event is a must-attend for anyone seeking to navigate these unprecedented times with awareness and intention. Mark your calendar, invite your friends, and prepare to embark on a cosmic journey that will leave you informed and empowered. Don't miss No Turning Back, a one-of-a-kind event that will define how you approach the future. Be there.
Welcome to your Inspirational Astrology Horoscope for Wednesday, January 29th, 2025. I'm Astrologer Dave Palmer, the Leo King, here to illuminate the collective consciousness. Well, thanks so much for being a part of HighVibe.tv. If you are not a part of HighVibe.tv, make sure that you go ahead and subscribe. You can, of course, go through any of our apps on all the platforms. Everything from Roku, your iOS, your Android, we're everywhere. You can even be on Apple Vision Pro and get our app as well. Super awesome, especially in the community. And you just watched the trailer for, of course, my 2025 No Turning Back is a crazy year. So if you want to 6 hours and 30 minutes, you're going to have to watch it in a couple pieces. Some people are watching it fully through because it's that riveting. Somebody that actually gives you all the astrology in a way you've never seen it before, of course. Well, of course, I am here on the new moon in Aquarius. Happy Chinese New Year for those that really do pay attention to that. I do, of course. But this is the beginning of what I will say is the most confusing yet clear astrology we will ever enter into our lives. We are also truly already in the wildest journey of all time. And it's about to truly have that like feeling of it's beginning. And that's really what this new moon in Aquarius is going to be about that I'm going to talk about today. But before I go on the charts, I just want to say you've made it this far. I mean, 5 years ago, that Saturn-Pluto conjunction happened. And it has been a long 5 years. I know it's felt like it's gone by fast. And at the same time, this last 5 years feels like it's been 50. But, you know, yeah, I do feel this new moon is bringing in new energy, but at the same time, the amount of Pisces we have and all of this energy coming into this year is, you want to talk about backed up? I mean, we have the biggest clog of all time in the planet. So it's really weird that we're really trying to pierce the veil here. And at the same time, feeling this new energy, yet have so much to still get through. So it's going to be an interesting horoscope. Let's take a look, see what's going on here, of course. So this new moon is going to be happening at 9 degrees. And I do think this is a good new moon. Like, I feel like this, why is this thing not working right now? Really? Hold on one second. I mean, it's showing it. It's just not. This is a wonderful day. Really nice. Oh, really? Won't work this way? Yeah, it is working. All right. We'll take it. It's kind of slow. 9 degrees here, and this is in trine to Jupiter, right? But it's an approaching trine, and Jupiter is still retrograde. This also is the first new moon that we're going to have that actually really is a new moon with Pluto and Aquarius, since last year Pluto and the sun did not conjunct in Aquarius. We just had that a week ago. So the first one. So this is also the first new moon that really, after this week, you can say you're fully in Pluto and Aquarius now. And so we have to remember that everything now that the moon just finished its balsamic phase in Capricorn, Mercury just left Capricorn and is with Pluto in conjunction, that's just finishing on this new moon. There is nothing in Capricorn left. And so all that construction, all that evolutionary work we've done, it's all over. There's nothing major coming into Capricorn for a long time. We're talking decades, okay? Right? No outer planets, nothing. It's empty. It's going to have its traditional Jupiter. It's going to have its Venus retrograde, of course, years from now. But those are traditional transits. So really, you have to let go of Capricorn, okay? And now it's this whole very different vibe, a fixed air Aquarian world. We've got Mercury and Pluto together. And so I want to say this, because I'm showing you and I'm keeping you in the Aquarius energy before we get lost in that Pisces energy, because that Pisces energy is lost. This Aquarius energy is trying to find itself. And remember that Pluto represents the underworld, Hades. Uranus is the ruler of the skies. They are so opposite. They're both fixed signs. Pluto does not want to be here. Pluto doesn't want to go on your fucking hot air balloon ride with Uranus upstairs. And Uranus doesn't want to go down to Hades. Okay? So we have to remember that this is easy for us to get seduced into a great idea that could take us down to Hades. Or at the same time, you know, finding ways for us to get out of that lower energy and rise higher. But so that's the positive. The negative, of course, is, oh, this looks like everything, and it pulls us down. With Mercury and Pluto that have just made their conjunction right here with this new moon, remember that there were so many conjunctions over the last 5 years since Jupiter and Saturn met at 0 Aquarius. We saw Mars-Saturn, 0 Aquarius. We saw a couple Mars-Venus, 0 Aquarius. We even saw like a Mercury there as well, with, I think it was Mercury, might have been a Mercury-Mars too. But we've seen so many conjunctions here, and this also is the end of those conjunctions. Of course, we also saw Mars, just as it started its retrograde at the end of 2024 in Leo, make its opposition, remember, at 1 degrees of Aquarius, where Pluto was. So this Mercury-Pluto that just conjuncted at 1 degrees, are you going to understand fully what it's uncovering? It's more about not getting like seduced by something where it's like, you know all the answers, or you have the fix to all the problems. Like, if anything, it's more realizing maybe don't try and fix things that ain't broke, right? So sometimes I feel like this new moon with this trine to Jupiter, even though Jupiter is still retrograde and it's actually really slow, almost stationing here because it's about to station direct on February 4th, it's important for us to remember, since Jupiter is in Gemini and so it's dispositing Mercury and it's with Pluto, it can be this kind of like, oh, I know all the facts, I know what to fix, but is it something that even needs fixing, one, in life? Two, is life as bad as you might think? meaning you might be finding errors where there's no errors. You might be finding things that really aren't that bad. So I think it's about taking a step back. I am the Leo king, right? So I have to learn from Aquarius, right? Because Leo is like, let's go, we're in all the way. But Aquarius is, let's pull back for a sec, right? And this is where it's like, we need to pull back because of this Pisces energy. So as this new moon's happening, Venus, of course, is ingressed into the shadow of where we're going to see this Venus retrograde that's going to be happening at 10 degrees of Aries coming on March 1st. And it will retrograde all the way back to this degree right here and meet with Saturn for 3 weeks in the months ahead. So you have to remember that this North Node, and I have this as the mean North Node to show people, because I know I use True North Node. But the mean North Node just came into Pisces with this new moon. So now you can say whether you're using sidereal, tropical, or tropical with a mean lunar node calculation, all three are finally in Pisces on this new moon. So if you use the true node, it's at 28 degrees Pisces during this new moon, okay? It's not that complicated. You can do it in your head here, unless you want me to write a little 28 for you people out there. Okay, there you go. There you go. That's where the true node is, 28. But I thought that was really interesting that we actually on this new moon came into North Node Pisces and both systems, but tropical using the mean node. And so we've got that Neptune and North Node energy that are starting to make their conjunction, and Venus, but that's just one part. Venus is in shadow. Venus is really slow, right? Venus is at 49 minutes and 47 seconds coming into this. I mean, we're talking about a really slow Venus here. And we're also talking about a Venus that's, it's exalted in Pisces. It's also, Neptune is the ruler, though. So, the North Node is with the ruler. But I like to tell people, so many people get, on High Vibe, ask me all the time about stuff, or whether I'm teaching or I'm doing my dailies or my deep astrology. It's like, oh, what does it mean when the North Node's on planets? I'm like, well, the nodes only serve to the sun and the moon. So it's like servants looking at the planet and going, I'm not going to answer you, right? Like the planets are trying to get the servants to talk or do something. And they're just like, well, I'm only here for the sun and the moon. Bye. So what's really interesting to me is it's this understanding of where the direction of the eclipses are going, but also in our life, if you look evolutionary wise, it's the connecting points. Really odd to have Neptune, the ruler here, on this placement. We also have Saturn, of course, you can see right behind that. And so this is going to be hard because this Venus wants to feel everything that it can in every dream. And this is what I've told people on High Vibe over the last day. North Node Neptune's about surrender. But, whether you want to use Aleister Crowley's version of Neptune, which he's really the first great astrologer to write about Neptune at the beginning of the 20th century, the early 1900s. Neptune has its back turned to the sun. I love his description of that because it's looking out into the unknown. If Neptune was looking at the sun energetically and looking at all the planets, that's not that imaginary. That's what you always know. That's more Virgo, humdrum, da-da-da-dum. So Neptune's cold, right? Because if you think about it, whether it's religion, right? Like, I want to talk to the Pope. Sorry, you're not allowed in here. The Pope with the back, his back's turned to you, right? Or this spiritual dream. It's like, well, you don't fit in my dream, right? If somebody, especially in romance, we can idolize people. So idolization comes with this as well. This Venus here is almost like, I have the dream that I've always wanted, and I'm going to attain it. And it's the unattainable that Neptune represents, right? It's the emptiness within that you haven't fulfilled. And especially this is dealing with the subconscious at its highest levels, right? But also the subconscious you can't see. So like I used an example on Deep Astrology last night of Richard Dreyfuss in Jaws, because I guess he's in a new movie that's trying to say it's Jaws, but it's called like Into the Deep. And it's so funny to see his face and to see him back like, oh, I never thought the fucking sharks would ever come back. Oh, yeah, the sharks have come back, right? So it's like, that's the whole idea, is that it might not look the same. He might be on the West Coast now, Richard Dreyfuss. He's not on the East Coast anymore. And he's over by a desert in a river and shit like that. There's nothing like, oh, wait, hold on a sec. I'm on a beach now. There's a lifeguard stand. It's like that triggering of the past. So this could be something that you're like, oh, I missed out on my life, or forgiving things. Now, we have to forgive fully, and where I'm going to go with this is going to blow your mind. We have to forgive. You know, people do fucked up shit. We all have to learn. We have to give grace to people. Yes. But this North Node is very Rahu-like, right? Like, oh, you know what? I'm going to just spiritually bypass it, say it's all good, you were all good, and then, okay, let's go back into the old cycle, right? So you want to avoid the worst past life scenario to ever come back in your life, right? Especially whether it's relationships, projects, you know, looking at your money, and this Venus and Pisces with Neptune here, and this North Node with this new moon that's trining a Jupiter that's not direct. And the big news, of course, is Uranus, which of course is in Taurus, the ruler of Aquarius, and it's dispositing that Aquarian energy as it's stationing as well, and it's going to station direct the following day on the 30th. So it's not the pop that I think some people might think it is right away. It's much more of this deeper understanding of like, yo, how do we get to the dream we want? How do we figure out some of the more complex things in our life? I feel this is where we keep it simple with Jupiter in Gemini, right? Remember, the Sun and Jupiter will not meet actually in Gemini either. Hold on, I gotta switch this thing again. I can't believe this thing is... All right, there we go. The Sun and Jupiter are not going to meet in Gemini. They didn't in 2024 and they won't in 2025, which is really weird. Meaning, the Gemini energy is not going to get the pop off that it normally does. Not going to get the big awareness. So this Jupiter's fucking I hate to say it, but a tugboat. It's not really giving much except for the basics of like, hey, have a good outlook here. And I think it is a good outlook. It's also about, this is a huge story starting. That's really what this is. This is about, hey, this is a new story starting, and you don't need to have it all filled in. Have the basics of what your dreams are, and let the universe and let yourself on this adventure bring things, and really you get to kind of write them in, opposed to trying to fill in every gap right now with all the things that you want. And what I'm really trying to say is I use ChatGPT to kind of visualize this for people. So on Deep Astrology this week, I called it Far Out Visions. It's almost like the you know, I made a good joke. It was really funny. It's like, the planets have aligned and the tarot cards have shown up correctly. And it's like, you know, when you watch these love tarot, people are like, this is the one this week, or your ex, they're coming back, whatever it might be, right? And so it's like, you will totally fall into the subconscious of that, and everything's aligned, and oh, this Jupiter trine, and everything's in alignment, Mercury, Pluto, I always knew, I figured out the whatever it might be, I figured it out. And so it's like idolizing this dreamy person or situation, and then really it's the worst situation of your whole entire life. You know, I used another one of it, like, really, this is also with Chiron and Aries, right? Now that the North Node's gone, and Mars in Cancer, which I'll show you when we get back to the chart. Mars in Cancer is in retrograde, and it's in square to Chiron and Aries. So this wounded ego emotionally will take the bait. Oh my gosh, this is the dreamy moment. And I'm going to be honest with you, this ain't no golden age, okay? That's happening at the moment. Okay? Like, that's another nice story. But, you know, this is not, like, it. That's what the Romans said. Okay? You know how many leaders have said that over time? It's kind of insane, right? So, and it was actually the funniest because it was during the time of Marcus Aurelius and all that. That was not a golden age, okay? Not a golden era. So, you know, this Chiron, and I also flipped it. Like, what if this AI chick is like, I am now envisioning this lonely guy. He's going to make a synthetic body for me, and he's going to make me real, and he's going to love me. And so it's like, whether it's AI or humans or anything, there is so much far out, like crazy, psychotic stuff happening that you have to pay attention to it. Like really, this guy has found like, oh, I found the way to see my future, and this is the person, very Aquarius, all this Venus, Neptune, North Node. Like, it's supposed to be going for my dream. Is it really your dream or your subconscious? You're empty, that void that you're trying to fill, that you're trying to feel good with, especially after the last 5 years, whatever it might be. When actually this chick, using the example, the image would be like his hidden enemy. So that's why you see this little hidden enemy right there, like, because this is Pisces. What's really weird about this is it's like a fair game between Aquarius here and Pisces. Like, there's so much happening in Pisces, there's so much happening in air and Aquarius that it's almost kind of like the combo of both, which is the most far out. The last two signs of the zodiac, imagery mixed with this crazy technology and thoughts, and even Pisces, Neptune rules media. Neptune also rules mRNA. Go look it up. The actual glyph of Neptune rules mRNA and what they use in it. Neptune rules psychology. Neptune rules quite a lot of crazy stuff people don't even know about, right? It also rules the, psi. So you're hearing all about this. Oh, we're summoning UAPs now. And, now you're going to see spiritual people come out and be like, I've been psionic the whole time. What are you talking about? It's like, oh, that's actually the glyph of what psi is. PSI is Neptune. There's nothing new. But of course, it's the hot new thing being talked about right now. And do you really think during these times right now, with all of this glitz and glam and all this, what looks to be so good, is it really? That's going to be what we're really going to find out in this whole story. And I think you have to remember with 12th house, it's hidden enemies, which in my case, as an astrologer, I would say, hey, the hidden enemy part is really more about, let's come back to me until I get this thing fixed. It's much more about like, hey, the hidden enemy thing is your own subconscious. And also, so it could be nefarious stuff on the other side that you don't know about because it rules addiction, drugs. But also in Aquarius, you have to remember, like, there is this wanting to rebel, wanting to do what is going to be like disruptive. And so we're wanting to change things. But we have to change it without getting lost in the sauce. And so the Neptune North Node Venus conjunction really truly is a beautiful moment of letting go. And this is where I'm going to really say it's at. It's about letting go of the dream you've always wanted. Because what's beyond your dream is bigger than your dream. So how do we get out of cycles? How are we going to all get out of a cycle? Why do we keep repeating what we don't want in our, if you want to use a past life theory, or you even want to use like, how do I actually make my dreams happen? Well, it's more about like the same way manifestation works. Like, oh, I'm going to visualize it and then I'm going to let it go fully. Well, it's the same, but I'm taking it a step deeper. You don't know what your wildest dream is until you let go of the one that's in between it. It's also like Inception, right? In the movie, right? Like they go down so many layers to find what's really in his subconscious and to put just that small little thing to change his whole perspective. And the longer they go down, the more longer it goes. And then if you remember in that movie, Leonardo DiCaprio, he literally, with his wife, goes so far down where they spent like 100 years in a dream and they made it their own crazy ass dream. You don't know what yours is till you fully let go the small, insignificant dream that you honestly are using the subconscious and the projected TV screen, laptop screen, everything that's on your phone that has projected like, oh, this person, that thing, ooh, this thing. So all of that is the problem. So really, I look at this North Node Neptune Venus conjunction while this new moon's in Aquarius, while we're going to see Uranus station direct, and really that's going to ramp things up the next day after this new moon, and then that trine to Jupiter, which is not direct yet. And once we see Jupiter station direct, and once we see, that's going to be when this Venus-Neptune North node, right? As we see coming into all that, it's going to be like this intense week here with Venus slowed down, and we're going to come back to all this stuff. Venus is going to retrograde back into Pisces with the North node. It will cross over Neptune as it's coming into Aries with a Mercury retrograde, which is that fall, and then kind of expose it all. We've seen Mars retrograde in Cancer, been in trine to Venus. Well, now we'll see Venus retrograde in trine to Mars that'll be direct during this Venus retrograde, right? And then actually Mars and Venus come back together in fire signs in Leo and in Aries at 15 degrees as we move on out of the Venus retrograde. So it's almost like there's these deeper layers that we have to keep seeing through, and you got to like let it go. That even being in a place where you don't know is better than knowing. Because knowing is the projection of what we're getting on our screens, what TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, like all these things that have kind of like, oh, be like this person, be like that. And that's the problem. This Mercury Pluto in Aquarius with this new moon is everybody wanting to, what's everyone else doing? So really, are people really that rebellious to go do something on their own? Like, really the ultimate dream is providing a dream to the world, and one that you fulfill within yourself that nobody's done before and that nobody's even thought of yet or nobody's even visualized yet. I am a big believer that Geppetto fucked up with his like high school girlfriend or whoever it was and chose to be a toy shop fucking toy builder and fucked up and got really old and lived the Pluto Capricorn life and made all these clocks and all these weird toys and finally realized he couldn't have a son. And so the blue fairy is a projection of the woman that he, you know, chose not to be with because he chose his job. And so like, to me, it's kind of that moment here. And so it's kind of like where some people are like, well, I guess I've reached my limit. All the Capricorn's over. And, oh, you know what? I can figure it out. I can do the impossible. You know, and I think you got to be careful of that because you don't want to end up like Geppetto. And you don't want to be hanging out with Pinocchio, your little toy fucking doll, trying to make that like a real kid, a real boy. And then Pinocchio can't even become that anyway because he doesn't have a conscience, and a fucking cricket's teaching him his conscience. And look at how dark the world is out there with people that are always trying to be like, hey, I know the best thing for you, like Honest John. It feels very Honest John-like. And if you don't know who Honest John is, it's the fucking fox that fucking gets Pinocchio to go, oh yeah, I'm going to make you a star. But he's making backdoor deals with the crazy pedophile who's running, you know, a fucking island, ironically enough, that's turning all the kids into fucking donkeys. Sounds fucking like with the last 5 years. So I think that this new moon's wonderful if you really actually go, I'm going to let go of like the way I feel that it has to be. Like you have to filter out all of the projections. You have to filter out all of the subliminal messaging. Right. And if I start seeing this in the community, and I'm not talking astrology only, I'm talking about the whole tarot, psychic, and everybody's like, I'm psionic. You've been had. You've been played. I'm summoning. I believe in that, but it's not like an intentional summoning. Every time UFO showed up, I was fucking not intentionally summoning them. They happened to just show up. It wasn't like I was sitting there like, oh, bring me the fucking UAPs. Like, you know, like this shit is fucking so insane that people are going to fall for everything right now. And, you know, it's hard because, you know, Saturn's in Pisces. And that's really, I think, where we're going to forget this week is that So much Jupiter, so much of this new moon trine it, Mercury trine Jupiter, North Node with Neptune and Venus, that people are going to forget Saturn. And it's in Pisces. And they're not even going to meet with Saturn and Neptune don't even meet this year. They meet in Aries a year from now. So the fact that we're coming back in with Saturn, Neptune, and Pisces after coming into Aries in the next couple months with all these transits that'll be happening, we're going to have to come back to a bunch of this stuff. So right now, clear your plate to everything that works and be inspired by the universe. Don't hold some magical thing, because they'll be honest with you, if we really want to talk about some weird alien shit, that's what it is, right? Like it's almost like they're being psionic and summoning you to do something that maybe you don't want to do or even manifest. You got to really pay attention here, because that subconscious can be so deep that we can't hear it. And that's the thing is, it, like Neptune, I think people have to really kind of review some of the old astrologers over 100 years ago that started writing about it and understand, the book of Psalms, for example, in the Bible's based off Neptune, the glyph, Psi. Okay? And so Psalms is all about, oh my gosh, did God receive my prayer? Did I need a receipt? Did I get it? To, like all these things that are just so like, I am beholden and God won't accept my prayer and will turn his back on me. And that's why so many people at funerals go, oh, Psalm 25, like, please take my daughter, my son, or my husband's soul and make sure that they get to heaven. What do you think's happening now with this summoning the UAPs? I think that people have to really wake up on this new moon and go, yeah, we're far out there, but let's not just jump on whatever bandwagon in this new moon in Aquarius with Mercury and Pluto. Like, if anything, we got to be detectives. And, it's hard because Jupiter's in detriment. It's hard because this Mars retrogrades in Cancer. There's not a lot of energy. So it's almost like the candy that you don't want to take right now. And look beyond that. Right? Like, it's about looking beyond something you can't see yet. Right? And yes, there's an instinctual feeling. Yes, there's a psychic awareness. But it's fuzzy. There's a lot of fuzziness. I mean, just even think that as Venus is approaching Neptune, it's coming into the biggest cloud of confusion, and it's really slow too. So it's going to really be stuck in that. And so, it's better. I feel like you're in the right place if you're more confused and you don't know what's next. Having such a, oh my God, this is it. I visualize it. That's what it is. It would, to be honest with you, my advice would be like, that's fucking scary. Like, what's summoning you? Right? And that's where I'm telling people to really pay attention right now. Because even just like with everything happening in the world right now, it's like everybody's throwing out their fucking blood into the water and seeing, and attracting jaws. So this is a time to disconnect. If something's bothering you, this is not the time to allow yourself to be bothered. Right? Because it's chum in the water. And you're the one sitting there like Richard Dreyfuss, like, how the fuck did I get on this boat? Why? I just tried to be the really smart fucking, guy in town and be on the boat, and oh fuck. Like, this is not the time to allow yourself to get caught up into what energy's out there summoning this and summoning that. What's really out there? That's the cool part. Don't get lost into all of it right now. Like, this is the very beginning. This new moon trine Jupiter to me is about this new journey, this new story that's just beginning. And it's going to be nasty at the beginning because it's so much ending. And this new moon, this, of course, the Chinese New Year, but this new moon really, it signals that we're done with Capricorn fully. So whatever structures that we think we're trying to build our dreams on aren't going to work. That means that we have to create new framework. And we have to reframe everything when it comes to our visions. We have to reframe how we even like come up with the ideas, because it's changing in such different ways. And there's so many surprises with this. Uranus is going to station direct right after this new moon within a day. And then within less than a week, Jupiter stationing direct. Or even if you just look at it from that Venus-Neptune North Node conjunction, the moon in Pisces, after it's going to be new moon in Aquarius, it's going to cross over all that too. And the sun actually is going to be in a semi-square over to that Venus-Neptune that's meeting with the North Node, right? So then it's going to sesquiquadra to the South Node in Virgo. And so I think it's like, stop trying to have it all figured out of like exactly the next piece and what's happening in every little piece. It's fun being a detective with that. I don't know what it is. Starting from a fresh sheet of paper, starting with the basic ideas and just allowing a lot of things to come online. This is a year where there's not a lot of forward movement, even though it's almost kind of going to feel that way. It's just the forward movement of the beginning of new things and coming out of some really intense darkness, and also a lot of backup with all that Pisces, right? A lot of things that we are clearing out of our subconscious, a lot of past life situations that have fully come to an end that, you know, we have to allow them to end by not engaging. This is not about engagement. Mars retrograde, right? Like, this is about fully letting, it's, you know, what will happen in your life if you fully let go of what you visualize and that you've come up with in your mind, and all these pieces you think that are supposed to go together? What if you just fully did an act of true surrender and let it go and see what the universe had to come to surprise you with? And actually being patient right now emotionally is probably the best move you could be doing about anything right now. Because really, if you want to bridge this with human design, I mean, all these planets and all these gates, these all rule right side gates. They all rule all these things that are in the solar plexus. And really this area that's like, let the wave, let the emotion come and see if it's still there the next day and the next day before you even think about making it a choice. I mean, this is really where the world's going to start moving into. And this is a critical moment for people to really go, let's practice Aquarius. Pull back, right? Like, this also is about, be careful with who you're connecting with. If they're just like trying to tote the same line that's going on TV or on your phone, or, you know, if anything, I feel like the TikTok ban is the best thing that could ever happen, right? Like, this is where we all have to start connecting in different ways and not being lost as drones into what's this person and don't even know, and just flipping through things and getting lost, and subliminally all these things at such high rate have been passing through, and exponentially over, you know, the last 20 years since the Jupiter-Saturn plus, the 25 years since Jupiter-Saturn and Taurus really kind of set this whole world up of like, hey, you're going to go through this crazy fucking island and turn into fucking crazy donkeys. Like, and this is where, you know, you can either catch yourself before you wreck yourself or not. That's my opinion. I mean, I'm, of course, just here giving my astrological take on things. It's not like you have to follow it or anything, right? But that would be my best way to look at it. Truly surrendering to it. You know, sometimes, you know, the thing that looks too good to be true really is. And I think that that's where, like, the easy way to understand this moment would be, is what looks too good to be true is. So like, let that go and say, like, if it's too good to be true, well, wouldn't that mean that you're not going to miss out because God's that good, right? That it would show up again and again and again. The idea of something too good to be true means it's not, because that means that this is only going to happen. And so it's also a FOMO, like, maybe I'll miss out, or maybe I've been missing out. No, you haven't missed out on shit. You really need to, like, do the opposite of FOMO. Be like, hey, I don't want to run into something right now. I want to pull back. I want to observe. And let me actually observe the way that maybe God observes us, right? Do you think God's getting involved in everything and every second? It's much more of a, a hermit's point of view. It's much more about a wiser, longer term and understanding this long journey and this far out journey we're going to go on. And so why take a bunch of past life baggage that you don't need to take into this new energy? We got to look at this first part of 2025 as who's going to bring the biggest carry-on baggage of all time of past life crap that they haven't let go of, and who's coming light and ready to go. Because we only get a little moment this year where we see all this new Aries energy, and that's a new construction zone. And we start to see some louder voices that can actually really say something that's different, actually show something that's of a different vision that's been normal, and that what's been regurgitated so many times and cycled through so much. And then we have to come back and clear out so much, right? So 2026 really is where we can start to really say, okay, it's going to start to see the new. This is the year where we just get to have some little fun pokes about it, and then we move back into one of the most, probably is going to seem like the end of the world, but not the end of the world, times of our life. And that could be in it doesn't matter what political party, it doesn't matter who you are as a person. The end of Pisces here, with all these conjunctions, with this Venus retrograde, with the Mercury retrograde coming, with this North Node here, with all these things, Saturn, Neptune both going to retrograde back here, it affects everybody with, the end of the world, the sky's falling, this is happening, especially now that Pluto's in Aquarius, right? The sky's falling, or the UAPs are coming up under the ocean, or are they coming out of your butt? Where are they coming from? Who's summoning them? Oh, I'm psionic. What? You're just saying that because you heard it on YouTube. You didn't actually look at where that word comes from. And it's actually Neptune. So that's why, like, every sci-fi movie that really goes far out and it gets really weird and crazy, whether it's like Event Horizon or there was another one that was really crazy. I forgot the name of that one. It was fucking nuts. It was Tommy Lee Jones was in it. But of course, it all goes weird when they get to Neptune. And it goes like really like horrific horror movie, like crazy, psychotic, right? So we have to remember that your most psychotic self and the things that are popping up are going to be the things that you're imagining are the end all be all, are like, oh, this is fucking it. Like this is everything. Oh my God, this is exactly what I've always been looking for. Well, maybe not. This is a better time to kind of, chill back and make sure that you take that time to do it differently. Let me fix this thing here so I can show you the last thing. Let's get rid of that. Let's get... Hold on. There we go. There we go. Let's move it to there. Let's move it to there. There we go. You gonna work on me for me now? No. No. That kind of sucks. Not at the studio. I'm at my house, so it just is the way it is. I'll give this one more try here. Oh, it looks like I got it. All right. I pulled some miracle stuff there, and that, the pulling a miracle thing is not going to be just like, oh, miracle comes. It's Aquarius. You're going to have to use some tools. You're going to have to use some really ingenious random things. Like if you only knew I was on the NDI bridge, getting off that port, changing ports, going, you know what? That's maybe the HX is too much. It's probably pulling too much from that PC's fucking GPU. So let me pull off that. Maybe let me do the easier, lighter version. And then let me go back to my iPad that's connected to my PC while my MacBook right now is using my iPhone for right now because I'm at home because I'm over the fucking DSLR camera shit right now. Then I'm going to fucking do this because I don't have to use a green screen. Okay, like, let me change a couple of those things really quick. That's so Aquarian. And if you can't think like that and start moving like that, then you're not going to have fun in this new world. If you're like waiting for Jesus to showing up, I think he's just going to take care of everything. That's the whole part of Neptune, right? Like, something's going to show up and just handle everything. And that's where the loneliness and the emptiness comes. And also, very in Neptune fashion, it doesn't it doesn't happen. It's also stop being like Aladdin and thinking that the wishes will change your life. If anything, the genie comes, he already has to like go through nefarious bullshit to get the fucking lamp. He has to trick the genie, and then when he uses his first wish, that's not even what Jasmine wants it for, and then he has to use his second wish because he almost dies, and then he feels bad, and he has to do the right thing, I guess, right? Very Neptune, and he gets conned into fucking freeing him. So did he get his wishes? But I guess he got his ultimate wish. So, it's not, but it's not about, of course, it's very crazy, right? It's not like going to just be this linear straight line. So this is when I have this for right after the new moon on the 30th, when Uranus stations direct at 23 degrees. And I wanted to remind people that when Uranus stations direct, this is also reminding me of like, back in 2018 when it, had station direct in Aries, and it's like, hey, I'm coming into Taurus, right? And it came into Taurus May 15th. It's like, this is like, oh shit, July, I'm coming into fucking Gemini. And so it's giving a little extra pep in the step of Uranus. Uranus wants to get the fuck out of Taurus. It's a fixed sign. It's an earth sign, and it's fixed earth. And Uranus is wanting to be free and up in the heavens, not on the ground, and not with Pluto down. So if you think about Aquarius, with Pluto in Aquarius, with Uranus as dispositor in Taurus, this is the worst feeling for Aquarian energy. So it's not the ultimate new moon people think it is. If you understand how the planets are the rulers of these zodiac signs and how the planets work, Pluto doesn't want to be there, and neither does Aquarius want to have Pluto in there. And Uranus doesn't want to be in Taurus, and that's dispositing it with this Pluto. And Mercury's unhappy that Jupiter's in detriment and Jupiter's retrograde still. So no, this is not the, oh my God. And if you look at it just from the space from this North Node Pisces all the way to that Pluto, that is the biggest backup, the end of the zodiac. Everything's at the end of the zodiac. But the only other planets that aren't are Uranus, Jupiter, and Mars. And we just see Uranus finally stationed direct. But Jupiter's still retrograde. We got till February 4th. And we got that Mars at the end of February finally stations direct. And that Mars is in square to Chiron, right? At 19 degrees, which is the exalted degree of where the sun is, right? The sun exalts itself in Aries at 19 degrees. So your ego is totally not the space to be coming up with these visions, especially an ego that has been subliminally brainwashed by, and that includes me and everybody on this planet, right? Like we all were brainwashed through TV. We were all brainwashed by how the world should be and all that shit. This is us. The more that you get out of the traditional way of like what you think a dream is, you'll find a dream that we can't even maybe describe. And to me, it's about the discoveries of Pluto and Aquarius that we got to go down deep into the place that not many people are going to want to go, right? The collective's not going to want to go down the same hole, right? When they can choose not to go down, right? Like that's the whole thing. Like Uranus didn't want to have to come down here and have his nuts cut off by Saturn, right? And then end up like losing it all and having his son take over the world, right? No. So remember that the story of Uranus is not one that's that nice. It actually is his balls getting cut off and literally falling and plunging to the ocean, right? And so we have to remember that, it does feel very like Pluto is kind of the secret, like that reminds Uranus of that past. It's kind of weird. We're living in a world where there's more people ever than has ever lived on the planet that are chopping their nutsacks off. right? Then Jupiter has to bring some sort of common sense at the end of the day to fix all that and get rid of Saturn, who's actually manipulating so much of all this world, right? And so Saturn and Pisces too, like this is where don't try to start making these crazy shifts into these places that are all been set up by organizations and secret organizations, because now that Pluto's in Aquarius, it's about secret organizations. Okay, it's about secret agendas by people that want you to be something. And that goes on both sides. And if this is the time to go, I'm not falling for anybody's bullshit. I'm not getting caught up in their past life story. I'm not trying to relive it. Right? Like, don't get lost in any of that shit right now. This is definitely a time where, you know what, like, we have to have a compassion and know that there are things that the universe and God takes care of that we can't take care of. And then there's things that we have to take care of. But when it comes too much, if you're so worried about what's happening right now in this and in that, or these people or these groups, you're going to lose your mind. You have to know how to take care of like the things that you have to take care of within yourself, which is maintaining a soul that understands its connection to spirit and that it's not losing itself in distractions. Because really, very Pisces like Venus, Neptune, candy-ish, kind of dreamy things are the distractions from your soul, which that's how you end up like on a drug. And then you become addicted. And actually that takes you the farthest away from soul and where its connection to spirit is. So it's really easy to get kind of addicted to a past life or even a substance or a person or a situation that you think is everything to make you feel better. It might even feel better for a minute, but it's the same way that, you know, the first time I smoked meth when I was fucking back in 2004, I was like, oh, this shit's great. You know, years later, I'm like, this shit sucks. It was not easy to let that go and just cut cold turkey and change my whole life. And it was at the edge of darkness. So you have to remember that this is like, don't get caught up in a bunch of this stuff because it's just as addicting, right? Or even like this idea of like, oh, I'm with this tribe, right? This is tribalism that's lost under the guise of we're the godly ones, or we're the ones that are doing it the spiritual, righteous way. And so this is what gives the rise to, you know, it's not one group. It's two main groups that both are wrong. One that's flying under the flag of religion and the other one that's flying under the flag of some sort of like transhumanism. Both are wrong. So when it comes to like this AI battle, do you really think DeepSync is some Chinese thing? That's how the second I heard that, I'm like, this is so fucking set up. One thing I learned from having an app for now 11 years and working with people from Silicon Valley, when I started the Leo King app in 2014, is I learned about you always make the fucking, you make an app that's competition to you. You say it's from this other place. You make it look the same. You know who owns dailyvideohoroscopes.com? Me. Nothing on there anymore. But as I was the first person in the world to ever sell subscriptions to Daily Video Horoscopes 11 years ago, of course I tested a generic version that wasn't about a guy named the Leo King. Everybody needs to start to, hey, this humanity thing, that's what we're in search for. And it's not through people who think they already know what it is, because nobody knows. It's the discovery of that. So it's taking the road that's less traveled. It's seeing the dream that isn't seen yet. And letting go of the ones that you've been through before or other people you've seen go through before. Nobody's going to be happy following. You know, trust me, I'm somebody who's very lucky. I've gotten more than most people will ever get in their whole life. Success-wise, all the things that especially being that I'm born in 84, right? Like all the things you would want at the right times. I got on MTV when I was young. At the right time, I was on national TV. I was on every TV show for astrology as the astrologer. I got the backlash. I got the good stuff. I got in the biggest magazine of astrology and every fucking shelf with People Mag right next to that. I've like done it. I've had it all. And nothing fulfills you like just the beauty of, and what really Pisces and Neptune and Venus here and all that is, it's that far away understanding that you love God from afar and that you never will see God's face, but you see it in your own kind of ways. And it's not something that somebody tells you through a book or somebody tells you through a screen of how to see it. It's something that you just have an essence within. You don't need to go through people and groups and all these things to get to what the essence is, right? So in many ways, it's kind of where this Mars in Cancer, in my opinion, is a really good thing about where's your home for yourself. Like, this is about taking care of you and then also protecting your own personal space from all of these far out crazy things that are trying to suck you in to this is the right way to go, or this, right? So right now you have two sides saying this is the right way to go. Right? It's like, oh, the battle now of AI. There's two apps, OpenAI and DeepSync, right? What's the third route? What's the other route? Like, that's the Aquarian thing, right? Like, well, everybody's going that way. Why do I go this way? Everybody's into tattoos now, so maybe I shouldn't be, right? Like, the Aquarius always does the like, what isn't somebody doing? What I don't want to be like what everybody's doing. But I still want to connect with everybody, but I don't want to connect on where everybody's the same. And so we have to find that place that that makes us different in every way. And that could be hard in this moment, but it's actually the way to go. It's not about following the crowd. It's not about following, well, this is what everybody's doing. I think that when it comes to common sense things, yeah, it's okay to follow those things. It's the things that are being propped up with those, or even the things that are being propped up when the common sense things don't make sense and being like, yeah, but it's because of this. So it's like, it doesn't matter. At the end of the day, it's like funneling you towards religious aspects and to believe that and to triple down on the last stand of, yeah, this for sure true. Or doubling down on, oh, this is this weird fucking thing that really a lot of these people don't realize that other side that are really like trying to replay parts of some really crazy parts of the old Roman way too. Both of them are trying to play out Roman themes, right? The Law and Order side and the let's get the kids in the fucking bathtub here and in the hot tub with us with the Senate and shit. What the fuck? Like, people need to wake up. I think that this is a beautiful moment. So don't take anything that I said as a negative. It's quite the opposite. It's the positive, but it's not in the way that you go typically to what you thought the positive way is. Right? If anything, we all have to ditch and find where's, like the Truman Show, where's that fucking door? It's very much at the end of that fucking ocean that looks like it's infinite when it's not. Knowing that, you know what, I don't know, but let's just see. Is there something? I just want to see what else is out there. He didn't know there was a door. He just was like, what the fuck? And then now they're trying to fucking throw a storm at me and shit. That's when you know you're on the right track. So the messier it is and the weirder it is, you know, like, are you needing to fix everything? You don't want to try and fix yourself in the Truman Show. You want to try and leave the Truman Show and let it go. What the best part about the Truman Show is when he walks out, we have no idea what he's going to go do. You can just make your own assumption, but that's where you kind of have to be with your life is, this is a doorway that's opening to the unknown. Let go of what you think is so much of what you know you're supposed to. This is no more Capricorn. It's not the step to the step to the step to the step and the step and the step. It's just understanding, okay, to live as a human being and to be one that has honor, integrity, courage, and able to execute. Okay, I need to have those steps, but not the biggest steps in the world of like, and then I'll reach this, and then I'll launch an IPO, and then I'll do that. That's over. Right? So, right, we have to start doing things in person, talking with people that are going to have way different opinions. And some people, you know, when you're like, well, they're so lost. Hey, there's maybe a nugget in there. And you don't have to agree. It's a beautiful part of Aquarius. But you know what? We got to find a way to all find this other way that nobody's talking about right now. Right? Because it's too, if you tap into any of this shit that's happening and seeing through all of our screens right now, everything's off. Both sides. Everything's off in some form or fashion. Not in all forms of it. There's the other side, like the other side or this side will make sense on these things. But both sides have some huge gaping hole of like, what the fuck is this? So that's how you know there's another way. And that's going to be the story of this Jupiter and the trine of this new moon and this new Chinese New Year and the craziness of this. This Pisces transit is going to be crazier than 2013, right? When Jupiter was in Gemini, and it had station direct though, and we had 7 planets in Pisces. This is crazier. So, you know, it really is going to be, we don't know what it looks like yet. And we should be okay with that. It's about letting go of like what needs to be understood, what needs to look like something. And you know, this is you having to face all of your subconscious in the mirror and be like, you know what, I'm done. I'm done trying to replay that old story again. I'm done with replaying the old story, right? So if anything, this is truly breaking out of the Matrix moment. The hardest part, though, is looking at the avatar and all these things you've been subconsciously still connected to that are really not making sense, or you're trying to conjure up and summon, you know, oh, this is the person of my dreams, or this is the thing. And it's really just, oh, it's that person and that breakup and that person all rolled into one, right? So it's kind of like the danger zone right now is for those that are trying to conjure up energy, you're conjuring up all your past life issues. All into one big thing, right? So that would be a big no-no. All right, let's see what we got for the card for this new moon in Aquarius, trine Jupiter. I am going to be at the studio Wednesday, and it's been months. I think it's actually been since we moved studios. But I'm going to try to put spiritual dance music on tomorrow. So, of course, it's on High Vibe. I'm not allowed to do it on YouTube anymore. But anyway, you know, for those that want to join me in the dance vibes for this new energy, it's Chinese New Year, too. Definitely the time. So, let's see what we got here. King of Pentacles reversed. I'm going to pick the other card and then, Hierophant reversed. I actually like this a lot. I do feel like this is a time to take the untraditional roads. It's also stop putting so much weight. Stop putting so much that, you know, you're like, I have to do it this way, or this is how to create this, or I have everything I need. You already have everything you need to create whatever it is, but it's not going about it the traditional way. It's a pullback from like, this is how it should be done. This is the right way. This is the traditional. This is what everyone else is traditionally doing. And this is what you have to have. You don't have to be this. You don't have to be that. All you really have to do is be you and follow a path that's not been seen yet. Right? This is us, you know, years ago, I said this a lot, but it's like, especially I was doing a lot of business courses. It's like, there is no book on what I've done. I'm writing the book on the kind of business, right? I'm 11 years into having the first fucking astrology video app, a subscription and a community. and still running strong and doing a video every day and multiple shows and all these deep. It's crazy. There is no book at Barnes and Noble you can get on how do you run a biz like that. You got to write a book that nobody's ever seen or heard about before. About your life and what you do. It's not about what somebody else is doing. So my advice is anybody that you see out there, you're like, I want to live my life like them. It's good to be inspired. That's Leo, though. That's where Mars retrograded. But this Pisces thing is don't go just like, oh yeah, I'm gonna go live that life. Look at that's so like, look at all these Hollywood actors and stuff. Like, look at they'll just do. Not only do they go follow the exact life, but they even do it in like their social stuff or anything, and they don't change anything. Oh, well, they have that kind of publicist and that, and they listen to, like, you can't, this is Aquarius. Like, do it your own way. You know, be different and have a vision that nobody's seen yet. And you know what? Also, you don't need to try and prop yourself up that you are something that you're not. You know, like you don't have to, right now is not a time to try and pull an Oz. Let me project the best thing I've ever been. Like, you know, like this is where it's like, pull back the curtain, 12th house. What's behind the curtain? This is me. This is how I am. You don't have to be proven shit right now. Capricorn is over. It's about the work of Aquarius, Pisces, and Aries. Our ego and our souls and this whole humanity and its fucked up crazy shit that it's been subliminally pulled into the egos of things that were conjured from other places. I appreciate you, all of you. Make sure that you join me on highvibe.tv. You can also watch my 2025 No Turning Back, which of course the trailer to that is of course right after this. Go to highvibe.tv or you can see us of course on the app stores. Much love to you all. Thanks so much. I'll see you all soon, and join High Vibe because I'll be coming back with the spiritual dance music after taking a good hiatus. Much love to you all. I'll see you all soon. And of course, I'll see you every day on High Vibe. Adios. Bye-bye.
No Turning Back, a live event with world-renowned astrologer, the Leo King. This isn't just astrology, it's a revelation of the most extraordinary cosmic transits of our time. These alignments, thousands of years in the making, will shape the world and your personal destiny in ways you can't imagine. The Leo King will break down how these astrological events will impact global shifts in your life, offering clarity and insight during this pivotal moment in history. Plus, looking back on the last 5 years, these special videos have made a name for themselves. Discover how these celestial events will influence global dynamics, societal shifts, and your individual path forward. Whether you're a seasoned astrology enthusiast or a curious beginner, this event will provide clarity, guidance, and inspiration during a pivotal moment in history. The experience doesn't stop there. Following his presentation, the Leo King will host a live Q&A session, giving you the unique opportunity to ask your most pressing questions and gain real-time insights tailored to your concerns. This event is a must-attend for anyone seeking to navigate these unprecedented times with awareness and intention. Mark your calendar, invite your friends, and prepare to embark on a cosmic journey that will leave you informed and empowered. Don't miss No Turning Back, a one-of-a-kind event that will define how you approach the future. Be there.